Last month my dog wouldn't stop scratching one ear. 2 days straight, his back leg hammering at it until he'd rubbed the edge raw and pink and it started to scab over. He couldn't sleep. I couldn't stand to watch it. So I took him into the vet, and it was a tick. I already knew that part. What I didn't know was the bill. By the time they'd added up the office visit, pulling the tick, a test for the diseases a tick can carry, and a season of those chewable pills, it came to right around $300 for a tick. Now I love that dog, but for $300 I'd sooner buy him a month of good meat and feed myself while I'm at it. So I drove home and went looking for how folks did this before there was a pill on the counter. And what I found gets every tick and flea off a dog for about $6 at your own kitchen table, and it works better than the thing they tried to sell me. Today I'll show you the whole job start to finish. Part 1, we get the ones already on him off him, the tick that's dug in and the fleas hiding down in his coat. Part 2, we break the cycle in the house and the yard so they don't just climb right back on next week. And stick around to the end, because there's one thing about that $300 pill the vet never mentioned. But the FDA did, and it's the reason I'll never buy it again. My name's Earl, and I've pulled more ticks off more dogs than I can count in 40 years. Let's get the one that's biting him off first. Here's everything you need, and it's sitting in your house right now. A pair of fine-tipped tweezers, the pointy kind, not the flat drugstore kind you pluck eyebrows with. A fine-tooth comb, the kind with the teeth set close together. $6 at any pet counter, and about $2 if you buy the human lice comb, which is the exact same tool. A bowl, some dish soap, that's the whole shopping list. Start with the tick, because that's the one that can actually make him sick. Part him down to the skin and find where it's latched. It'll look like a little gray or brown bump, sometimes fat as a raisin if it's been drinking a while. And the head end is buried down in the skin where you can't see it. Take your tweezers and get them down low, right at the skin, as close to his hide as you can. You are not grabbing the fat part of the tick. You grab where the mouth goes into the dog. Now here's the one thing on this whole job you cannot get wrong. Pull it straight out, slow, and never twist. Straight up, steady pressure, like you're pulling a splinter, and you just keep that pull on until it lets go. Don't twist it, don't jerk it, don't yank. If you twist or you snap it, the body comes off in the tweezers, and the head stays cemented down inside your dog. And then you've got a buried mouth part under the skin that swells up into an infected sore. So it comes straight out, never twist. I'll say that again before we're done, because it's the whole ball game. Keep that steady pull going while I say one thing and tap subscribe. Because everything after this is the cheap stuff that replaces the $300 visit, and it costs you nothing. When it lets go, drop it in a little rubbing alcohol or a piece of tape folded over on itself. Don't crush it with your fingers. Dab the bite spot with a little soap and water and leave it be. One tick out clean is not an emergency. That's the tick. Now the fleas, and this is the part that feels like magic the first time you do it. Fill your bowl with warm water and put a good squirt of dish soap in it. Dawn or whatever blue stuff is under your sink and swish it up. Take your fine-tooth comb and drag it slow through his coat, down at the base of the hair against the way it lays. Go along the spine, down by the tail, behind the ears, up under the belly and the back legs, because that's where they hide. Every pass, dunk the comb in the soapy bowl and swirl it. You'll see them come off into the water, little dark commas, and once they're in that bowl, they will not climb back out. They sink and they drown. Now, why do they drown when a flea can normally ride a bead of water like it's nothing? A flea is light enough that plain water holds it up on the surface. The same skin of tension that lets a water strider walk across a pond. The soap breaks that skin. Drop the surface tension and there's nothing left to hold the flea up, so it goes straight under. And it does a second thing on the way down. A flea doesn't breathe through a mouth. It breathes through little holes along the sides of its body called spiracles. And the soap creeps into those holes and clogs them shut. So it's sinking and it's suffocating at the same time. That's why the ball works on the first flea and the 10,000th. There's no chemical in there for a bug to get used to. You cannot breed a flea that's immune to drowning, a trick that can't wear out. Try that with a pill. Let me tell you what a tick actually is, because once you understand it, you'll understand why everything they sell you is aimed at the wrong end of the problem. A tick doesn't itch because it's crawling. It itches because it has cemented its head down into your dog and started drinking. That's what it does. It finds a spot, it cuts in, and it glues its mouth parts in place with a kind of cement it makes itself. And then it feeds, sometimes for days. And the longer it stays latched, the more it can leave behind. This is the important number, so I'll give it to you plain. For the disease everybody worries about, Lyme, the tick generally has to stay stuck on your dog somewhere around 24 to 48 hours before it can pass it along, a day to 2 days attached. Which means the single best thing you can do for your dog, better than any pill, is get the tick off the same day you find it. That's why we comb him, not once a season. You run your hands over that dog when he comes in from the tall grass, and you take the ones you find off him right then, straight out, never twist, while the clock's still early. Same day removal is the prevention. Everything else is cleanup. All right, part one's done, the tick's off, and the coat's clear tonight. But if you stop here, I promise you'll be right back at this bowl by Friday, and here's why. The fleas you combed off him are not the flea problem. They're about 5% of it. The other 95%, the eggs and the larvae and the little cocoon pupae just waiting to hatch, is not on your dog at all. It's in his bed. It's down in your carpet, in the cracks of the floor, in the couch where he naps. A single female flea lays around 40, 50 eggs a day, and they roll right off him like salt off a cracker and land wherever he sleeps. So you can pick every adult off that dog tonight, and tomorrow a new batch hatches out of the rug and hops right back on. 5% on him, 95% in the house. If you only fight the 5%, you've already lost. So part two is the house, and the first move is the easiest thing in this whole video. Gather up everything he sleeps on. His bed, the blanket, the cover off the couch cushion if he's allowed up there, the throw rug by the door. Wash all of it in the hottest water the machine will run, and then dry it on high heat too. That's it. Heat kills every stage. The eggs, the larvae, the pupae, all of it cooks. The hot dryer matters as much as the hot wash, so don't skip it and hang them on the line. Do that the same night you comb him, and do it once a week for about 3 weeks while you're clearing the problem. Because the pupae are stubborn and they hatch on their own schedule. Wash it hot, dry it hot, 3 weeks running. So the map for the whole job is this. Pull the tick, comb the coat, drown them in the bowl, wash the bedding hot, and treat the floor in the yard, which we're getting to. That's the entire thing. Now let me show you what you're really buying when you buy the alternative, because this is the part that made me put my wallet away. Walk into the vet or the pet store and the shelf is full of little boxes, and the big sellers right now are the chewables. NexGard, that's the one with afoxolaner in it. Bravecto, that's fluorolaner. Simparica, Credelio, same family. They're a class of drug called the isoxazolines, and they work, I'll give them that. But nobody at the counter says the quiet part out loud. The drug is in your dog's blood, which means the tick or the flea has to bite your dog and drink his blood before the drug can kill it. It is not a repellent. It does not keep anything off him. It waits inside the dog for the bug to take a drink, and then it kills the bug. You are paying to let it bite him first, and you're paying real money for that privilege. NexGard runs somewhere around $18 to $31 a month. Bravecto's the one that lasts 12 weeks, and it's about $73 to $81 a dose at the vet. The old front line you drip on the back of the neck is $10 to $20 a month. And the visit where I learned all this, the office call, and the tick pull, and the disease panel, and a season of the chewables bundled together, came to right around $300, like I told you. $18 to $31 a month for NexGard, $73 to $81 a dose for Bravecto. Every one of those products has the same thing wrong with it. It lets the bug reach your dog and take a bite before it does a single thing. The comb takes it off before the bite for $6, and the comb doesn't care if the flea's great-grandmother was immune to anything. There's the reframe, and it's worth sitting with. You are not paying to keep ticks off your dog. You're paying to poison them after they've already bitten him. Why does the soapy bowl beat the $30 box? Think about how you'd stop a burglar. The pill is a poison you leave lying around your own living room, hoping the burglar picks it up and eats it after he's already climbed in your window. The comb is grabbing him by the collar on the porch and pulling him off before he gets inside. One of those happens before the harm, one after. That's the whole difference. And this isn't some backyard notion I dreamed up. Soap, as a way to break the surface of water and sink small things that ride on top of it, is old settled science. The same reason a drop of dish soap makes pepper flakes scatter and sink in a ball. The trick every school teacher shows a class. And the fine-tooth comb, well, let me tell you about that comb, because it's older than you'd ever guess. First, the cheapest trick left on the list, the one for the floor and the yard. It's called diatomaceous earth, and don't let the name scare you. Say it a couple times, diatomaceous, and then forget the name. Because it's just a soft white powder ground from the fossilized shells of tiny ancient water critters called diatoms. You buy the bag that says food grade and only food grade for about $10 or $12, and that bag lasts you years. It kills by sanding, not by poisoning. Under a microscope, that soft powder is all sharp little edges, and a flea has a waxy shell that holds its water in. The powder scratches that wax coating, and the flea dries out from the inside and dies, usually within a few hours. It's not a poison, it's physics. You dust a thin layer, barely a haze, along the baseboards, in the cracks of the floor, under the cushions, and out along the shady edges of the yard where the dog lies down. Leave it a day or two, then vacuum it up. 3 things about the powder you have to get right, because this is where folks go wrong. It kills the adults, not the eggs, so it works alongside your hot wash, not instead of it. It quits working the moment it gets wet, so it's a dry weather, indoor tool, and you redust the yard after rain. And this one matters. Do not dust it onto the dog's skin or let him breathe a cloud of it. It dries out a flea's shell, and it'll dry out his skin the same way. And the fine dust isn't good for his lungs or yours, so wear a mask when you're spreading it, and keep the dog out of the room till it settles. Food-grade diatomaceous earth is recognized as safe by the FDA, safe enough it's allowed in stored grain, but safe to eat is not the same as good to inhale. On the floor and in the yard cracks, not on the dog. Next one, and this is the old-timers' repellent, the thing that actually does keep them off before they land. Cedar, plain cedar, the wood. You know how a cedar chest keeps moths out of the wool blankets? Same reason it keeps fleas and ticks back. A few cedar chips in a cloth bag tucked in his bed, or a run of cedar mulch along the edge of the yard where the woods meet the grass, and the bugs don't like to cross it. You can get a little cedar oil and put a drop or 2 in the water when you wash his bedding. It's not a miracle, nothing's a miracle, but it's a genuine repellent that costs a few dollars. And it's been keeping bugs out of linen closets since before your grandmother was born. Now that comb, I told you I'd get back to it. Here's the history, and it's my favorite thing in this whole video. The tool that beats the $30 pill is the oldest grooming tool the human race has ever made. Archaeologists digging up the Natufian people, folks who lived around the eastern Mediterranean, have found fine-tooth combs cut from bone that go back close to 12,000 years. 12,000. And here's the part that gets me. If you laid one of those bone combs next to the flea comb you'd buy at the pet store this afternoon, they're the same tool. Same tight-set teeth, same spacing, close enough to catch a flea and rake out its eggs, far enough that the hair pulls through. The Egyptians used it. The Romans used it. They had a specific double-sided comb, coarse teeth on one side, and the fine flea and lice teeth on the other. And we dug them out of Roman forts, still packed with the little pests they'd combed out 2,000 years ago. The design has not changed in all that time, not because nobody tried to improve it, because it was already finished. It never needed a new version. Now hold that next to the chewable pill. That pill has been on the market about 10 years. The comb has been on the job for 12,000. And the pill carries a warning from the FDA. The comb carries none. Let me clear up the worst piece of bad advice on ticks, because you probably heard it, and it's dangerous. The old trick where you burn the tick out with a hot match, or you smother it in petroleum jelly, or you paint it with nail polish to make it back out on its own. Stop. The government's own disease people, the CDC, say plainly not to do any of that. And here's why it's not just useless, but actually worse. When you burn a tick or smother it, you don't make it politely back out. You make it sick, and a sick tick vomits. It regurgitates the contents of its gut, the exact stuff that carries disease, straight down into the bite, into your dog. You've taken a clean removal and turned it into an injection. No match, no Vaseline, no polish. Fine-tipped tweezers, down at the skin, straight out, never twist. Every single time. I learned that rule the hard way, and it cost me. Years back, my neighbor Ruth had a beagle, sweet old thing, and she found a big fat tick on him and asked me to get it. I was in a hurry, and I did the thing I'm telling you not to do. I grabbed the fat body and I gave it a twist, and it came off in my fingers slick as anything, and I thought, done. It wasn't done. The head was still down in that beagle's neck. And 3 days later, it was a hot, swollen, weeping abscess, and Ruth was at the vet paying $90 to have it lanced and cleaned, and the dog on antibiotics. $90 because I twisted instead of pulling. So when I tell you straight out, never twist, I'm not reading it off a card. I paid for that lesson with somebody else's beagle, and I've never forgotten it. Let me be square with you about what this does and doesn't do, because I'm not going to oversell it. the way that Shelf does. The comb and the bowl clear the coat tonight, that's real, but they don't touch the eggs in his bed. Skip the hot wash and you'll be combing again Friday, I mean that. The diatomaceous earth handles the floor, but it won't do a thing the day it gets rained on or damp mopped, so it's not a set it and forget it. And none of this is a repellent that rides along on the dog out in the deep woods, the way that neck drip claims to. So if you're taking him into heavy tick country in the thick of the season, you check him by hand when you come out every time. Because your hands and your eyes are the repellent out there. What this method is the complete home job for a dog that's got them now, and a house that's got them now. Done cheap and done tonight and kept away with weekly washing and a dusting of powder. What it isn't is a bottle that lets you stop paying attention. Nothing's that. And here's the flip side, the time to leave it alone. If you find one tick and it comes out clean, mouth parts and all that's left is a small clean spot on the skin, you're done. Dab it, keep an eye on it for a few days and let it be. You do not need a vet visit, and you do not need a season of pills for a single bite you caught early and pulled clean. A dog is not made of glass. One tick off the same day straight out is a thing you handle at your own kitchen table and forget about. Save the vet for the sore that won't close, or the dog that goes off his feed, not for one clean bite. You don't have to take my word for any of it. After my $300 education, I told Ruth what I'd found. And she's got 2 beagles now, and a bad flea summer every year. She combed both dogs into the soapy bowl every night for 1 week, and she hot washed the beds every few days along with it. By the weekend, nothing. Not a flea on either dog, first clean summer she's had in years, and she didn't buy a single pill to do it. 2 dogs, 1 week, 1 comb, 1 bowl. That's the whole proof. So, that one thing the vet never mentioned, here it is, and it's the reason I'll never put that pill in my dog again. Those isoxazoline chewables, the NexGard and the Brevecto and that family. In 2018, the FDA put out a formal safety alert on the entire class of them, and they updated it again a couple years later. Not a rumor, not a review site, the Food and Drug Administration itself. The warning is that this class of drug can cause neurologic problems in dogs and cats, muscle tremors, loss of balance, the animal stumbling like it's drunk, and seizures. And the part that stopped me cold, it can happen in animals with no history of any of that. Perfectly healthy dogs. That warning is printed because it's real and it's documented, and it's on the very pill the vet slid across the counter as the safe modern choice. So think about what they were actually selling me for $300. A drug that waits for the bug to bite my dog before it works, and carries a federal warning that it can throw a healthy dog into a seizure, against a comb that's 12,000 years old and carries no warning at all because there's nothing in a comb to warn you about. There's no commercial for the thing you already own. Nobody's going to run an ad for a bowl of soapy water and a $2 comb because there's no money in it. And so you never hear about the fix that's been sitting under your sink the whole time. That's not a conspiracy. It's just that the quiet, cheap, finished answer doesn't have anybody paid to shout about it. So here's your whole shopping list and your whole job. One more time. Quick. Fine-tipped tweezers you already own. A fine tooth comb, $6 too if you buy the lice one. A bowl of warm water with a squirt of dish soap. A $10 bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth. A few dollars of cedar. For the tick, tweezers down at the skin and pull it straight out slow, never twist. Out the moment before you're tempted to yank it. For the fleas, comb the coat and drown them in the soapy bowl where the broken surface tension sinks them. Then break the cycle, because 95% of the problem is off the dog and in the house. So wash and hot dry every bit of bedding weekly for 3 weeks. Dust the floor cracks and the yard edges with the dry powder and tuck cedar where he sleeps. Tick out the same day every time and never twist. Go do it tonight. Your dog's probably scratching somewhere in the house right now, and everything you need is already in the kitchen. So there's no reason to wait on a vet appointment or an online order to give him some peace before bed. And do me 2 favors down in the comments. Tell me the strangest place you've ever found a tick dug in on a dog, because I've heard some good ones and I'll bet you can beat them. And tell me this, before you watch this, did you know that pill only works after the bug bites him? I want to see how many of us were paying for that and never knew.